everyone. I'm Sean.
This is Hoon.
And we're back once again for another movie review.
Yes.
And this time we're doing John Wick Chapter 4.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah. It's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
The long-awaited review.
Yes.
Half this channel's subscriber base probably comes from my John Wick news videos.
And
we didn't even release the review.
Yes.
And by the way, I have a new John Wick news video coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. So anyway, this is of course the fourth film in the John Wick franchise, starring Keanu Reeves as John Wick. If for some reason you've never heard of this franchise. Ooh, what? You've been living under a rock since 2014?
Yes.
And of course, Ian McShane is back as Winston, the manager of the Continental. Lance Reddick, unfortunately, passed away.
Passed away like a week before, or a couple days before.
Yeah, right before the premiere. That was like very tragic.
Yeah.
Natural circumstances, but very unexpected.
Yeah.
So we're getting that out of the way. He's in this movie as well, kind of briefly. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people in this movie. So you have Bill Skarsgård, who is the main villain.
Yeah, he's like the Frenchman.
The Marquis de Gramont.
Yes.
He also played Pennywise.
Yes.
It's probably his most well-known role. And he's the brother of Alexander Skarsgård and the son of Stellan Skarsgård. So the Skarsgårds kind of have the monopoly on Swedish film.
Yes. It's like, what's it, Chris Hemsworth and his family.
It's like a clan that just dominates an entire nation's film industry. And so he's fantastic in this.
Yeah, he is good at playing. He's a good actor.
For a Swede, he does a really good French accent.
Yeah, he does.
So he's in this. Scott Adkins is in this as the unrecognizable Killa Harkon.
Yes.
Who's a big fat German guy. But Scott Adkins, if you don't know, is a fantastic English martial artist.
Yes.
Who's been in a lot of movies, and he's a big stunt guy and stuff. He also has a YouTube channel where he does like interviews with other martial artists and stuff. He's had Chad Stahelski on there before. And I don't know if he's ever had Keanu Reeves, but he probably has, or he probably will.
Probably will.
He's a fantastic martial artist. Donnie Yen is in this, as long awaited.
Also a martial artist.
Yeah, well, yes. He's got one of the best martial arts actors currently alive.
He did a pretty good job there, too, because he's playing like a blind guy.
Yeah, which he did in Star Wars Rogue One. Also,
yeah, that's true. He's like, this plays as blind guys, actually.
This one, he's very much a Zatoichi reference.
Yeah. So
people that maybe don't know, Zatoichi is like a blind swordsman in Japanese films.
Yeah, it's almost like that was like a stereotype type of thing.
Yeah,
like,
sort of like the blind Asian
guy,
master.
He's like a master, and he's just like killing people and stuff.
But he's definitely Zatoichi. He has a cane sword and stuff. Who else is in this movie? Oh yeah, Lawrence Fishburne's back. The Bowery King.
Yeah, he wasn't in there for that long.
Nah, he might have the smallest role in this one.
Even though it was like the first scene he's in there.
Well, he's important, but
the bass is just punching your stomach in when you listen to that.
Oh yeah, every time. The very opening scene, Keanu Reeves is punching a Makiwara board, and every time he punched it, the speakers in the studio in the theater were
was like, what the heck?
Reverberating through her chest cavity. Yeah. I thought the whole movie was gonna be like that, but it calmed down.
Yeah. Took that at least a little bit down a notch.
Yeah, knocked it down a couple notches. Let's see. Clancy Brown is in this as the Harbinger. He was in Highlander.
What's his name? The Japanese guy.
Oh, Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah, Hiroyuki Sanada.
Hiroyuki Sanada's in this. Rina Sawayama's in this, who plays his daughter.
Is that her acting debut in the United
States?
States?
Yes, okay. I think it's her acting debut. She's a British-Japanese pop star, I think. It's like pop singer or something, but she started acting with it. She did a really good job.
Yeah, I think she said she had like Keanu Reeves help her with a lot of acting and stuff.
Right. Yeah, she did good. Everybody did a fantastic job.
If they did an Oscar, I could see this being an Oscar-worthy movie.
Yeah, this should win awards just for the choreography.
Maybe not for Best Picture, because they always look for a specific movie, but at least choreography, because this is really good in this movie.
Yeah, choreography is amazing. Cinematography is great.
Another one.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. there's certain stuff they've done in here that I've never seen in an action movie, and I've been watching action movies for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And there's a one part, it's probably from video games or something, but there's one part in particular where they pan the camera up onto the ceiling, and they give you a top-down view, and it's really cool.
Kind of reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. One of the big things about the John Wick films is that they either do things that have never been done, or at least not in Western film, or they push the envelope so far that it's like this is now basically the gold standard of action films. I saw a review somewhere that once said that if any movie that's not John Wick should be ashamed of itself. Yeah. And there's some truth to that. Yeah. Like, if you're still doing... Hollywood action has always been subpar to me because Hollywood films have a very long-standing tendency to have the camera too close to the action.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
You don't know what's going on. Like The Dark Knight, for instance. People rave about that movie. I don't care for The Dark Knight that much because the action sequences are almost unwatchable.
Yeah.
The camera's on Christian Bale's chin the whole time.
Yeah, they do that a lot of times because I don't know if where did that even start? Like,
I don't know, but they zoom it in way too far.
Because I remember, like, at least the first movie I kind of noticed it on was Transformers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think they use it to hide like the CGI.
Yeah, flaws and stuff.
Yeah.
The close camera and also having a million cuts.
Yeah.
Like, people famously made fun of one of the Taken movies because Liam Neeson jumps over a fence and it takes like 14 cuts for it to happen. Like, it's like that's another problem. John Wick doesn't do either of those.
This is more like an actual like movie in one cut.
Yeah. Now, John Wick is obviously inspired by Asian films, but not only Asian films, but also mostly European movies as well. So the influences for John Wick are probably John Woo films, obviously.
Yeah,
Killer, Hard Boiled, stuff like that.
Or was it Gun Fu?
Gun Fu or Gun Kata or Bullet Ballet, whatever you want to call it. There's like a million names for it. So yeah, the Chow Yun Fat films with John Woo were a massive inspiration. The Korean film Man from Nowhere, which is just called Ajoshi in Korean, which is like Mr. And that was a big influence on the first John Wick. And spaghetti westerns, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
The ending thing of this film is actually a duel, and the music even goes into like a spaghetti western riff. I almost thought they were going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly theme. And
I guess like, probably samurai films.
Samurai films for sure.
For this one for sure. French
like neo-noir, like assassin films from the 70s.
Cinematography in this. They had like the lighting is specifically.
Yeah. So this is very inspired by everything. These films aren't really American movies. They're more like worldwide movies. Yeah. In fact, I think the only American in the whole main cast is Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these movies are inspired by everything. And that's one of the reasons why they're so good. They take influences from French films, Italian films, Chinese films, Japanese films. Mix them all together into this blender.
Yeah, it's obvious where Chad Stahelski or whoever wrote this was definitely very well versed in a lot of movies.
And that's the other thing too. You have a man who is a stunt director directing the film, who himself was a stunt man for years. He was actually Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the Matrix films. So, that's our Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves have known each other since like the late 90s because Chad Stahelski was Keanu Reeves' stunt double. They kind of have a similar build when you look at him and stuff. And back then they looked similar before Chad aged and Keanu didn't. Because Keanu's immortal.
His vampiric blood.
Well, Keanu's an immortal god of war.
Yes.
He had his tell-all memoir called Berserker.
Yes.
Which is being adapted for Netflix. So, anyway, in case you didn't realize, we both really like this movie.
This is a good movie.
I would go so far as saying that this is movie of the year for me.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat.
I can't imagine a movie this year beating it. The only thing that might come close in my eyes is maybe like the Mission Impossible movie.
It depends on it depends on that movie, especially with like Tom Cruise, and it's like that's his final movie for Mission Impossible, I think.
Well, it's part 1.
Yeah, part 1.
So there's 2 movies. And this film, John Wick Chapter 4, I think was originally supposed to be 2 parts also.
Okay.
Because this is a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
It's a long movie, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel, because the pacing of this movie was pretty good. Like, it doesn't feel very long. You needed the action sequences at times when you needed to be. Mm-hmm. It did pretty good. It did
great. Like, there's certain sequences. I think the Osaka fight towards the beginning is like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it moves through several areas. And
yeah.
There's obviously a lot of action. That's what John Wick's about. But beyond gun fu, I've always been interested more in like the weapons combat and hand-to-hand stuff as somebody who is a martial artist.
Yeah.
That's what's always interested me the most. And I really like how they've ramped that up in each film. Because John Wick 1 doesn't have a lot. John Wick 1 is...
That's more guns.
That's almost all guns. 2, they started putting in some hand-to-hand combat. 3 is where it went full-on weapons and a lot of Aikido in 3.
It's obvious, like, at the first movie, they probably had a one-movie thing.
Yeah.
And then the second movie was so popular that they probably made the second one, so they probably expanded it. Because the second movie is when they started, like, when you started to learn about the world, I guess.
The world, yeah, and this one has a lot of lore building. Yeah. That's why it's 3 hours long.
I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember that specifically.
Yeah.
And then 3 was like direct continuation from 2.
Yeah, 3 picks up just like minutes after 2 ends. And then 4, there's like a 6-month gap because John fell off a building.
Yeah.
At the end of 3.
He got shot by
Winston shoots him off a building. So, yeah, this movie, there's tons of gunplay. But then on top of that, there's swords, there's bows, there's nunchucks, there's
the
like
Japanese section, or like the Osaka section, is like literally all fight. Even the like the people in the Continental, they just grab they don't even grab guns. They grab,
they have bows. Swords and shurikens
and like shurikens
stuff.
And like kunai and everything else.
Yeah, which I guess some people might complain as being like stereotypical, but it was still cool. And then yeah, the action's really good. There's like probably 4 major set piece action scenes. The Paris fight at the end is insane because they do that fight scene around that circle around Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah.
And where people drive like maniacs anyway. And then they're just standing there in the street having like a
fight.
Gunfight / jiu-jitsu fight in the middle of the street. Like cars are flying around them.
They're throwing people against the cars.
Yeah, there's a part where it's in the trailer, but there's a part where Keanu throws like a Kotagaishi, which is like a wrist lock.
Yeah.
Wrist throw, and he throws the dude right into an oncoming car. Yeah. It's insane. The dogs are back again. Not the same dogs, but...
Yeah, because the one guy that he's like... The other assassin guy?
The tracker?
He kind of tracks Keanu.
Yeah, so this is Shamier Anderson plays the tracker. He's another Canadian actor.
He's like... He has the dog.
Yeah, he has a dog. It's the same breed of dog. It's a Belgian Malinois. And that's the same breed that Halle Berry had in the third one.
It's kind of weird. I kind of wish she would have back in this, but
yeah,
I don't know what happened to her. But I think that happens in all the John Wick movies. They have like an actor and he's like gone.
The side characters never come back, which I think they should bring back because the only people that ever come back is like Winston, the Bowery King, like Sharon, like Alyssa, and that's it. Yeah. So without going into spoiler territory, I would say this is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
For me, I think all the John Wick movies are 10 out of 10 though.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a 10 out of 10, but I can see like general audiences not.
Although
certain parts, just because, like I know when we were in the theater, people are like, there's one part where he gets kicked down the stairs.
Yeah.
And another part where he gets thrown out the window, and I know people in the theater were like.
Yeah, people suspect, like people are like, that's not believable or whatever. But okay, well, I guess we'll address that. One, John Wick has always been in a world of like hyper reality.
That's not reality.
If you have a problem with somebody falling out a window, do you also have a problem with the fact that assassins rule the planet?
Yeah,
Police don't exist. Paramedics don't exist. They blow up the Continental in the middle of Manhattan and like no rescue vehicles appear or anything. Like they don't try to stop it or anything.
Yeah.
So like it's obviously not in the real world.
Yeah.
But B, I guess that was point A.
Yeah.
2. John is supposed to be this highly trained professional assassin.
Yeah.
He's not getting hit head on by cars. He's always comes at an angle. In Aikido, we call it ukemi. It's like the art of falling, basically. to protect your internal organs and stuff. So like he jumps up right at the moment where he gets hit and like rolls up the windshield and stuff. He falls out of that building at like 4 stories or whatever, but he hits a van on the way down, but he hits at an angle that it actually like rotates him into the ground. Now, if he fell flat on his back onto that van, he'd be dead. Yeah. And he falls down like 200 stairs, but they actually threw a stunt guy down 200 stairs, and the guy...
And the way he was rolling a specific way.
Right.
It wasn't just like his face was rolling to the ground or something.
No, like if you pick somebody out of the theater and threw him down 200 stairs, they wouldn't survive. Yeah. But this guy, to me... That wasn't any more unbelievable than anything else.
Yeah, because it was like rolling and like his arms are out.
Yeah, he tucked his arms and his legs in.
And it was kind of like it was a specific way he was rolling, so he's not hurting himself.
It was like a barrel roll down the stairs.
I mean, you'd probably be dizzy, but not.
Yeah, yeah. So like, I didn't find that to be that ridiculously unbelievable, given the world that these films take place in.
Yeah, that's like you could suspend your belief at points, but this is like real. That's real stuff, anyway.
Also, we need to address the fact I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to the plot. Big surprise, but a lot of people don't realize that the suits that he's wearing, he has like 20 layers of Kevlar on. Yeah, like that's explained in previous films. And a guy on YouTube, you should probably check it out if you have a chance. There's a guy on YouTube that has like a tech channel who actually built the John Wick suit. Yeah. And it works. It's like better than the SWAT team body armor. Yeah. Because it's basically like he's pretty much wearing 2 SWAT vests pretty much because his suit vest is armored. Yeah. But then his suit jacket is also armored. And the suit that the Bowery King gives him at the end has both the vest and the jacket, so it's like wearing 2 layers of body armor on. Body armor is to stop impact. It doesn't just stop bullets. It'll stop like collision. It won't stop, but it will dissipate impact of collisions and everything else. So you have to take that into account too. Yeah. He's armored when he's falling down the stairs. Yeah. He's armored when he fell out the window and hit the car. Like that's part of it too. Like he's not just wearing regular everyday clothes.
He's wearing like t-shirt.
Like he's wearing Kevlar, like layered Kevlar. So that's going to do something to stop the impact also. Yeah. So yeah, these films, I think, like I said, they exist in a hyper reality anyway. So like they don't always take themselves seriously. There's a bit of playfulness in the films.
It's kind of ridiculous. The whole world's full of assassins.
Yeah. Right.
And like the Eiffel Tower is like
a broadcast station
on how to, like,
specifically for assassins.
It reminds me of like Cowboy Bebop when they had a TV show that's like all about bounty hunters.
Yeah, exactly.
Bounty is coming and you're gonna do this.
That's probably where they got the influence. We know Keanu at the very least is a massive Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, because he was gonna play Spike Spiegel at one time.
And he probably should have because the Netflix one wasn't it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, that probably is actually true. Thinking about it, because it's a broadcast about bounty hunters.
And that's probably where that came from.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
So they even took off stuff off of anime.
Well, yeah, that's not surprising. Keanu's a big weeaboo, so.
Like that anime.
And a comic book fan.
Yeah.
So much so he created his own comic.
Yes.
So I guess that's our recommendation on John Wick.
Yeah, I would say it's gonna be hard to beat this movie this year.
It's gonna be hard to beat. I say obviously absolutely must see film.
Yeah.
If you're like action movies.
Yeah, especially if it's action, it's probably like a landmark movie, I would say.
But yeah, there's certain stuff they do in this film. I think all the movies
John Wick series
have done something that has either never been done before or hasn't been done as well before. Yeah. But in this film, they push the envelope even farther. So let's talk about the franchise as a whole. So without going into super spoilers, they end this film in such a way that it easily could be the end of the John Wick franchise. But there's a little bit of ambiguity there that they could potentially bring him back in the future. And so, which is almost certainly going to happen for a number of reasons. Yeah. Most likely reason is that Lionsgate pretty much banks their entire success of the studio on John Wick. So we didn't see we saw one of the trailers.
Yeah.
The movie theater we saw it at had like 400 trailers at the beginning of the movie.
It was like a trailer of every movie in existence.
It was like 45 minutes of trailers. But when I saw this the first time, I saw it in our local theater.
Yeah.
And they only showed Lionsgate movies.
Oh, okay.
Lionsgate movies, they had that almost scary movie, rip-off movie.
That reminded me of Scary Movie.
The Blackening.
Yeah, Blackening.
So they had a movie, like, is pretty much like a horror comedy.
Yeah, it was like Saw.
Yeah, it was literally Saw, but it was like Scary Movie.
Yeah,
pretty
much.
It was
probably Scary Movie.
And then there was another movie that they didn't show, but it was just like this cringy, like raunchy comedy about this, like these Chinese Americans going back to China and it just being like complete dumbasses.
So all the time when you go to those countries, just like making fun of that stuff.
Right, yeah. So it was like,
made fun of.
So it immediately became clear to me why Lionsgate is so desperate to continue this franchise, because all they have to offer is like stupid stoner comedies outside of John Wick. So it's like, so they jumped on it. I think Chapter 5 has been greenlit, but the caveat is Keanu and Chad Stahelski both want to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Chad said if he jumped right into Chapter 5, it'd suck because he didn't have time to grow his craft. He is going to direct Ghost of Tsushima.
Which is a good choice. After this movie and cinematography, that's a good choice.
Right, yeah. So I think that'll be a great decision for him to do that. It's obviously he's going to have to focus much more on acting and drama as opposed to just all action. But it also gives him the opportunity to do things with action that he maybe didn't do with John Wick. So, because we're talking medieval warfare, not modern.
Yeah.
And he also allegedly is still doing a Highlander reboot with Henry Cavill. Mm-hmm. So, but the reason why that's been delayed is because Henry Cavill's a stickler for like canon and fan base and all that kind of stuff. And so is Chad. So they're like, they didn't want to jump into it. John Wick was something they just made fresh out of the ether. Yeah. So there wasn't a built-in fan base. But Highlander, there's a number of movies. There's a TV show that went on for years in the 90s. So there's a lot of lore.
Yeah.
And they want to get it right, which is cool because none of the Highlander movies got it right after the first one. So many Highlander fans basically believe that only the original movie and the TV show exist.
Yes.
So it'd be great for them to actually do a respectful rendition of that.
Yeah.
So that's what Chad's doing. Keanu, like I mentioned, is going off to do his Berserker franchise, which is a comic book he co-created. And it's about himself.
Yes.
He's an immortal god of war that's been around for like 50,000 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's basically his tell-all memoir.
Yes. Pretty much.
So he's really adamant about getting that out there. I guess Netflix is doing a live-action movie and I think an anime. And
I can see that being working.
So he's going to obviously star in that and probably voice the character for the anime.
As long as they do the anime is like that 3D thing.
They probably will because it's Netflix.
And it's going to look horrible.
Yeah, I agree with that, but they always do that. So that's what's going on with those guys. Now for John Wick... Now, say John Wick Chapter 4 is the end of John Wick, or whether it's not. Either way, they've announced long ago. They announced a spinoff called The Ballerina.
It's because of the COVIDs and everything.
Yeah, but I've talked about it in my news videos. But anyway, The Ballerina is the next movie in the franchise. Mm-hmm. That got a release date now, so that's coming out in June of next year.
At least they got the release date out.
So June 2024. That stars Ana de Armas, who's becoming a very popular actress these days. And so she's starring in that. And that tells the story of a character called Rooney, who was actually introduced in Chapter 3, but didn't have any speaking lines. She's the ballerina that's on the stage that is being judged by the director. That was Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
But if you remember in 3, that was the Ruska Roma base in New York, which is the family that John Wick's from. Yeah. And it's going to be kind of telling the story. You may indirectly tell the story of how John himself was trained. Because they have ballet school, but then in the back room, they were doing like all this sambo training and like all this other kind of stuff. So I think what they're going to do with that is they're going to tell the story of Rooney, who, if you remember in chapter 3, that school got absolutely wrecked by Zero's ninjas.
Yeah.
They went in and like killed half the place and then cut up the director pretty bad. So I think Rooney is supposed to be a revenge story. So maybe she goes after the table because of that. I don't know. But that movie's set.
Probably is.
Yeah. But that movie's set between 3 and 4. So it's like 3.5.
Oh, okay. So while John Wick is
like recovering.
Like recovering from his injuries.
Right. And on top of that, Ian McShane, Lance Reddick, and Keanu Reeves are all supposed to reprise their roles in that. And Lance Reddick filmed all his scenes before he passed.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so they're going to definitely have the Continental involved. They're going to have John Wick somewhere.
Which is, I guess if it's good. I'm assuming Lance Reddick's probably going to have a bigger role in that movie.
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe it's just a cameo. I have no idea. But yeah, so that's the first movie. Mm-hmm. They just announced another spin-off movie, but they won't tell us what it is. They said like sometime in the next 2 months or something we'll get details.
That sounds like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, pretty much, basically. So, and then the Continental is a prequel series about a young Winston that's set in 1970s New York, and it's like his rise to power, like how he became the manager of the Continental and all that stuff. So that, of course, has all the characters that we have met that would have been around then. Yeah. And then there's a new guy who's, I guess, the main villain is Mel Gibson, who's playing...
okay, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's playing some guy called Korvac or something. So that'll be interesting. I think Colin Waddell is playing Winston. And then there's another actor, Ayomide Adegun, I think is his name. He's playing a young Sharon. I wouldn't be totally surprised if we didn't see like a 10-year-old John Wick or something in that.
Yeah.
Because also Winston apparently is from the Ruska Roma also. Because he has the tattoo on his wrist.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And at the end of John Wick Chapter 4, he says that. And he says something. He says, my son, when he says to John as he's leaving at the end. He's like, goodbye, my son, in Russian. So it's like, is Winston actually John Wick's father? Like, he's a debate fan theory. Or did he just mean it like generally?
Yeah, like
my
you're
son.
part of the family.
Yeah. But it did seem like Winston might be part of the Ruska Roma. Because he does have like the tattoo on his arm. Yeah. Which was interesting. So they may go venture into that more too.
Which gives them flesh out some characters, I guess.
Yeah, so everything might be delving more into the Ruska Roma. Which are a real thing, by the way, but not in the sense that this is. It's just the Romani people who live in Belarus and Russia.
Yeah.
But, but they may go more in depth in that. And then the only other thing I'm going to say before we close out is, what do you think the spin-off movie, the mysterious spin-off movie might be?
Mysterious spin-off movie.
That they haven't told us what it is yet.
What it would actually, encompass?
Yeah.
I'll probably say something. I'll probably say something about the high table or something.
Okay. Yeah,
because
maybe.
That's not really. That's one part they talk about it, but did they really even go really into it?
No, we've never actually seen the high table.
Yeah, I wonder if it's gonna have to do something with the high table.
Like, we've seen elements of it, like stuff like that, and of course, like the marquee in this, but we've never actually seen the high table itself.
Yeah, or like what the members are, but I guess they probably want to keep it secret at least.
They also may be saving that for Chapter 5.
Oh yeah,
because they may want to save the big stuff for like John Wick movies.
Yeah.
So if John Wick does come back, he has to fight something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I think it's about. I'm thinking either it could be the Donnie Yen spinoff.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Or it could be the Halle Berry spinoff.
Yeah, because Halle Berry was a character that it's like she just disappears.
Yeah, because Sophia is definitely a fan favorite with her dogs. And Halle Berry was talking about there being potentially a spin-off movie, and then nothing ever came of it.
That probably is it then.
So I think it could be that. Donnie Yen's character's up in the air because there is a post-credit scene at the very, very end of the movie.
That could be that too.
That puts his future potentially in jeopardy, but it doesn't actually say anything one way or the other.
If he's Donnie Yen, he's probably
because it's...
You could hear it coming.
Right, probably. So, yeah, that's probably all we're going to say about Chapter 4 and the future of John Wick.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check out those other movies. I do a lot of news videos about John Wick every couple of months or so. Yeah. I do a news video. I got another one in the works coming out, and basically talks about the stuff we just talked about. But in case viewers didn't watch this, which no one ever does.
The shortened version.
Yeah. If you want the version that just right to the point and talks only about the news.
Yeah.
So check that one out. So yeah, I think that's probably about it.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah.
All right. So if you like this, give it a like. Consider subscribing for more content like this in the future. And you too can feel the strength welling within. See ya.